Hello everyone, so I'm back today and I'm here to talk about The Wild Robot, which is a movie playing at TIFF. It was magnificent. I was very excited for it. It has been, I think I've tweeted this, I don't know if I've actually said it on a podcast or a video, but it has been my sneaky favorite to win Oscar for an animated feature. For a while. Because obviously, as you know, sequels winning animated feature is very, very hard to impossible thing to do, which is why I think Inside Out, Kung Fu Panda have all kind of, fallen aside in the running. They'll be nominated, I don't think they'll win, and why I think this is one of the movies which is right there at the top. Watching it, I was not at all disappointed with that analysis. I think this is a movie which is heartfelt, right? But it also does something, I think, which is fascinating. And that's what, as much as it was heartfelt, it was funny, the story was good. It is very WALL-E, Big Hero 6-y in how it's done, and I don't say that because the main character is a robot, well, I do a little bit, but it's also just because of how it tells its story, right? Because I think there is this issue with animated movies, at least in the minds of the people who watch them, some of them at least, on the internet specifically, where they have, and I guess it's media in general now, but it's like this idea of forced diversity and, these kind of over-the-top stereotypes which, are meant to force this idea of inclusion, right? And then, but like this movie, again, there's opportunities for them to have these forced stereotypes, these, I guess, uninteresting or maybe not uninteresting but unnecessary stereotypes, where you have this is clearly a gay couple, or this is clearly an Indian person, you know what I mean? Like, they have all of these things, but yet this movie doesn't do that, right? Like, obviously it is a very diverse cast. Lupita Nyong'o, obviously, and I can't, but the cast is diverse. However, they aren't stereotypically diverse, right? Like, none of these animals sound, are over the top gay, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing like that happening in this movie, and I feel like I'm stepping myself saying this, but whatever. And I think that's important, because I think that is something where you're teaching a lesson of, for example, equality and treating people fairly through this idea of animals, right? And it does have what WALL-E had, which is this I guess, critique of capitalism, consumerism, and especially through robots, right? Obviously, with WALL-E, we saw the whole idea of, consumerism at its peak and leading to all the other stuff. But with this movie, it has that same capitalistic critique of this bigger organization, which creates this capitalistic organization, this corporate power, which runs people's lives basically, and is ruthless in a sense, and it uses that influence to punish, or to as a rallying force against it by the animals and by the wild robot, right? And so I think when you look at that, and you look at that, which is a very, I guess, what people consider woke perspective of a movie, it doesn't feel like that, because it is a very generic story where it doesn't go out of its way to, I guess, hurt things, affect things or make clear statements. It's more subtle. It's, again, Black Panther right, where yes, there are messages in Black Panther, obviously, but there is no critique which is staring you in the face. Well, actually there is, but it's more subtle. Anyways, after doing all of that and potentially stepping over myself a few times, I think now we talk about the rest of the actual other parts of the movie. So I think the way that this movie is animated is fantastic. I mean, I was just sitting there, I'm like, wow, this is just pretty. The animation, the stills of this movie are incredible. The other thing, which I think I hold a lot of personal value in when I'm looking at an animated movie, and I think more so people are starting to feel this way as well, is this idea of how does this movie affect, how does the voice cast work? Because obviously when you have Mark Hamill, Lupita Nyong'o, etc., again, I can't remember anyone else in this movie, but when you have these kind of people, there's always a wonder of, okay, Is it going to just be like, with the issue I at least had initially with with the Chris Pratt voice actor thing, where it's like, okay, I don't want to just hear Chris Pratt as Mario, Chris Pratt as the other big anime character he played recently. I want to see, Chris Pratt as Garfield, right? That was the one. I want to see I want to feel like I'm watching a movie with different characters, not just actors with famous voices. And look, Mark Hamill is an excellent voice actor. Obviously, the voice of the Joker. He has done a lot of great voice acting. He sounds like, again, it all works, right? All of the voices work. You don't hear anything which sounds weird, right? Like, it doesn't seem like, oh, that's just an actor sitting in a studio recording a voice. They all feel like characters. They don't feel like just animated versions of actors, right? And I think that's important. I think part of the fact that it's an original story is helpful in that, because you can't, yes, you can, but it's a little bit harder to just have the actors sound like the actors, right? Or because they're not trying to mimic a character, they're trying to create a new character. So you have a little bit more freedom in what you're doing. I think this movie was really well done. Again, all of that word salad to say, it was really well done. I think that this might be the movie of TIFF. I mean, again, it's funny, and it's sad, and it's, there's moments of hope and anger and frustration and all of this other stuff which comes with a movie, but it is a complete story. And I was worried at the beginning, I'm going to be honest with you, when the movie started, right? Because it feels like it's setting itself up for a short, right? Just the way that the timeline thing works, and you're like, is there going to really be a villain of this movie, right? Or which kind of cartoonishly, clownish villain is there going to be? And to be honest, until the third act, there is no real villain. And I think that also adds to this movie's charm, I guess would be one way to say it. Also just its mastery of storytelling. Because you don't... The cartoonish, over-the-top, unrealistic kind of villain is a little bit overplayed. And I think that hurts movies when you have that. I think having this nice, subtle, societal critique of acceptance of other people as the villain until the end, obviously, when you do get a villain, I think just being the outcast is a villain enough, or society is a villain enough to reference the Joker. And I think that overall, this movie is perfect. I mean, again, I've tried to think of flaws and I can't. But yeah, again, highly recommend it. I think this might win Best Animated Feature. It's also got a song which is, really timely and poignant in where it comes in the movie, and I think also be in the running for Best Song. I don't think it'll win, but it'll definitely be in the running for it. And again, I think this might be the movie of TIFF. It's a family-friendly movie, obviously, but it's also a movie which, really is just well crafted as a story. It's, there's obviously familiar cast voices, so to some extent you can market it like that. But it is a movie which kind of stands on its own, and I think, again, even all the way down to, and this isn't a spoiler because it happens at the beginning, but the way that the wild robot understands the animals, right? It's not like, oh, they just speak English. No, the robot learned, right? And I think that's something which is absolutely incredible. In terms of just, again, not being lazy with storytelling, which I think, again, is massively important. I know I haven't really talked about the story of this movie at all, actually, but I think that's probably a good summary enough of what I liked about it, and I'll probably do more talking about this movie over the course of time, I guess, and when it comes out. But with that being said, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share your thoughts, follow us on social media, go check out the CIUT Movie Madness podcast, where there'll be some of my interviews and other stuff related to TIFF. You can also subscribe to this channel for TIFF stuff, reviews such as this one, maybe some other stuff. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.